Rogers TV.
The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the last episode for this season of Tobin Tonight. We have a great guest for you for this episode. We have Nathan Dales, plays Daryl on the Crave TV show Letterkenny. He's going to talk about how he got cast for that show, how the show came to be. We get a little bit about we talk a little bit about Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers. He's a Calgary Flames fan. Now, I will say this was pre-recorded in the first round of the playoffs, but it worked out pretty magically because Seattle does play Dallas, and Edmonton and Toronto do move on. Although I did make the joke that Tampa would beat Toronto in 7 games, but you know, this is why we edit, and this is why I'm being upfront with you. But enjoy the episode. We also have a game of random questions at the end. I think this is a really good episode. I think it's a funny episode. Listen, obviously the real version that you can find on the TobinTonight.com, way longer, and has some explicit language. So obviously we clean it up for Rogers because, you know, we want to be good people. And Rogers is pretty good to us in terms of giving us this platform. Again, you know, as we always say at the end of the seasons, thank you to Rogers and Dan Warren for giving us this kind of platform, this time slot. And hopefully we'll be back in the fall with some more great guests. And there you go. Now I would have like sad intro music or whatever to play it out, but I don't think anyone wants to hear that. So just go right into the normal intro music, and we'll see you in the fall. All right, cool. Let's do this.
Nathan, I want to ask you first, like to really start things off, is like, how do you feel? Now, this might be a little bit of a trigger question, but like, how do you feel about those Edmonton Oilers, man?
Oh my God.
This is my evil life.
All right. First of all, I'm out of here. Number one. Second of all, how do I feel about the Edmonton Oilers? Okay, so here's the thing. Like, you know, I grew up in Calgary, so I'm a huge Flames fan. I've been a Flames fan for my entire life. I remember going to games with my dad when I was like 3 years old. So I've been going to the Saddledome forever, right? So because of that, technically, damn them, obviously. But they are a Canadian team. I really love playoff hockey. Like, is it like not the best hockey in the entire world? Like, get out of here, right? Yeah. So I do want to see them. Like, if the Flames aren't in, I do want to see the Oilers doing well. Just as I want to see the Jets doing well. You know, like I want to see the Canadian teams doing well. And Edmonton this year, I think, has a legitimate shot at doing pretty well. And I hope they do. Now, that being said, where the Flames, and let's have them go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel you. It's like I'm sure you can see by the surrounding here. It's a Detroit room. Detroit Red Wings. But like, my Canadian team is Toronto. But like, I feel like if it's your second team, like if it's your first team, Detroit. Listen, like I know they're not great. So when people tease me at Detroit, I do get a little bit like. But when it's Toronto, I can be in a Leafs jersey down in like Toronto Square. Yep. And if they don't win against like Tampa, I'm like, the Leafs, they do this every year. And then some guys like, that's your team. I'd be like, second team.
Second team. Come on. Let's be honest here. Second team.
Yeah. Then you get some other guy be like, they're my third team. Third team? Like me and you team up against him. This is his third team. Let's figure out his first two. And he's like, well, first I go for like Seattle and then Dallas. I'd be like, Jesus. I'd be like, no, you get out of here. And then he's like, yeah, but that's your second team. I'm like, whose side are you on here?
Yeah,
team third string or team second string?
Come on, but also let's say it right now. Pick a side. Yeah. Pick a team. Yeah.
Well, for fairness, I mean, I grew up liking Detroit when they were in the West, and then Toronto was East, so I could make the argument: this is my West team, this is my East team. As a kid, you're like, I have both sides covered. Thank you very much. And now when they're both in the same division, it's almost like, you know what? I know there's a rivalry, but
Yeah.
It's like when you see fans at Toronto games and it's Montreal and they have the split jersey. I'm like, I'm like, both Toronto and Montreal fans, don't worry about fighting each other. Fight jersey guy over there. He can't pick a side.
You know what? That's totally what it is. All right, the sides. Let's fight jersey guy because jersey guy's there.
Yeah, because he's going home half a winner, half a loser. Like,
yeah. Regardless, he's losing at least part of the game.
Yeah. Like when the game's over, that's when you figure out who he's like. If like Toronto Montreal goes in a shootout, and he's like, "Yeah," I'm like, "All right, there you go. You got exposed. You're happy." But he's like, "But Caulfield didn't score." I'm like, "Okay, Toronto, Montreal, right there. There's your guy. Go get your guy." I will be full on honest here. My roommates were into Letterkenny way before I was even watching it, and I was kind of like, "It's on Crave. I want to pay for Crave." I was like, "I got Netflix. I got all this. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, but it's a Canadian show." I was like, "Okay." So then they were watching it, and then I like walked past and like, "All right, it's okay." But again, I take a long time to get into shows. But do you think, when did you start to really see, I guess, people jump on board to Letterkenny? Because I've seen the commercials on TSN. I know TSN sometimes brings in characters when they're doing like trade deadlines and stuff. But when did you start to see like, hey, we got something going here?
Well, it kind of depends on, because I feel like there's two levels to that, right? So the first level of thinking about like, hey, we might have something going on here, was sort of the first time that happened was when we started with the web series. And so when we did the web series, which were 5 episodes, 2 minutes each, right? So the first one of those type of moments happened with the web series when I believe it was the 5th video, the hockey players video. One of those moments where we're like, holy, I think we might have something here, was when the view count like started to rack up. And that was kind of a thing where it was like, because we really liked it. We thought it was really funny to begin with anyway, so we're going to do it, regardless. But when the view count started racking up and racking up and racking up and racking up, and then overnight, and it was just like, oh, holy, we may really have something here, just speaking on specific numbers and stuff like that. And to go along with that, then having people stop me on the street and be like, hey, you're that guy from those YouTube videos. Those two combined, that was a big sort of like, oh, we may have something going on here, because like that was kind of a big one for that. And then I'm not exactly sure. So then fast forward. So now we're in production, and we've already done, we've done a season, I think it was, or whatever. And then when we got renewed, the network decided to take, holy, we have something good. So when we got renewed for a contract that was like X amount of seasons more, that was another big aha, like, oh, wow, like they have a lot of confidence in us. So that means to them, they're excited. So that means like, oh, this may really go somewhere. So first of all, to get, the YouTube count, the numbers, that was a big one. And then obviously getting a TV deal in the first place was like, oh, nice, get it, we get to be on TV, this is going to be awesome. So those were big ones. And then, but once we were on the air, then, and I'm not sure exactly what season it was, but when they wanted like a larger episode order, then we were kind of like, oh, wow, this is really nice. Again, they've got a lot of confidence in us. So that makes it be like, this could really go somewhere and it could have longevity. So those were the two type of moments where it was, I guess, apparent in my mind. And I think a lot of the guys would agree as well, that was kind of like, we could have something here that could go for a while. And that's a type of feeling, you rarely get that, especially with, in today's age, if you want to call it that, where there's so much content, right? There's so much. And so to get renewed and to have bigger episode orders, that's just like, that's the money in the bank right there, as confidence from the network, and being like, nice, we may have a job for a while and be able to do this thing that we love doing so much. And that's just like, that's awesome. And that feeling is so great because, again, not only are you working with people that you really like, you get to work with your friends who were all actors to begin with anyway. So it's not like, they don't have any, no juice or anything like that. But that's just huge. And that's such a big, like, that is like a really, like, honestly, just a huge smile and kind of like a, wait a minute.
Paid for this?
We don't get to do this longer, do we? Because it feels me right now.
Yeah.
But then you do, and then you realize like this could go for a while, and I hope it does because it's so much fun. And so that was a big moment like that for sure.
Obviously, there's a lot of, I guess, timing that has to work out for this to end up in the same place. Like you went obviously going into acting. I think it's funny that you have a whole bunch of like hockey players turned actors, and it's just like, all right, well, can you save some shit for me? Like I like acting, but I'm not a hockey player. Like it's like a role for Letterkenny. I'm like, all right, I applied because I'm an actor. It's like, do you also play hockey? No, I'm terrible at hockey. They're like, no. I'm like, hold the phone. I didn't say I was auditioning to be a hockey player. Yeah, but all these guys are hockey players. What are you going to talk about? I'm like, I'm Canadian. I can talk hockey.
I'm Canadian. I can obviously talk hockey. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
But tell me the whereabouts, because I know, like, I think it's Jared and yourself were playing hockey. I think this is out, like, maybe Vancouver?
Yeah, in Vancouver. Yeah.
And then, this whole idea comes to be. Then, like, Dylan comes aboard. He has his friend that comes aboard. Is it Andrew?
Andrew, yeah, he plays Jonesy. Yeah, Andrew plays Jonesy. Yeah,
they come aboard, and then I'm just like, it just seems like a match made. But just tell me the whole how the idea came about.
So here's what happened. I met Jared for the first time in Vancouver, and this is a long time ago now. I think I met Jared in 2010 or something like that. Anyway, so here's what happened. So Jared and I met through some mutual friends. Okay, here it is. There is this bar in Vancouver called Section 3, which is no longer it's no longer a bar. It doesn't exist anymore or whatever, right? So Jared worked at Section 3. And and these are all at different times. So Jared worked there at one time. I worked there at one time. Dylan worked there at one time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that's one thing. But the main thing was we all played on a rec league hockey team together. So our rec league hockey team was called the Trappers. And so we used to play out at UBC. And here's what happened. We were all actors, but the following people played on the same team on the beer league hockey team together. So it was Jared, myself, Dylan Playfair, Andrew Herr, Tyler Johnston, and the man who plays the ginger named Jamie Lapointe.
Okay.
So there were 6 of us that played on this beer league hockey team together, and we were all, except for the ginger, we were all actors that happened to play on the same beer league team together. So that's how we all met. Now, the way that Jared and I started working together was, so I grew up in Calgary, and I'm a huge Calgary Flames fan. And Jared is a huge Calgary Flames fan as well. So we kind of immediately bonded over our love of the Flames. And he and I, we always just had fun riffing with each other, just like sending each other like joke text messages and whatever. So we started, how it began is we used to send puns on the last names of hockey players on the Flames, right? Okay. So we did that, and then we turned those into like YouTube shorts, and we called them 3 Flames Fans. And so it was just like a little storyline, and it was all just, the crux of it was puns on the last names of hockey players. So we did a couple of those, and we just had some fun, and and again, we were both actors before that. So we did that, and then Jared, then we did another one called A Couple of Jays Fans, which was a baseball-themed one or whatever. And then Jared approached me and said, hey, listen, I've got this idea, and I wonder if you want to get together and just read it with me. Tell me, and if you hate it, we don't have to do it or anything like that. He's like, but do it. And so I had so much fun working with Jared. We always had a good time, and we just like laugh our asses off anyways. And so in my head, I'm going, well, even if we're going to have fun anyway, we're going to fucking hang out anyways. So he came to me with a thing called Letterkenny Problems, he titled it. And so basically what it was one-liners straight to camera, and it was going to be the problems that you would find in a small town. And so how that came about was Jared and his friends did an anonymous Twitter account called Listy Problems. And it was about his town, Listowel, Ontario. And it was just some like problems you might run into in a small town. And so they had a Twitter account. So anyways, so Jared turned that into a script, and it was one-liners straight to camera of just like funny, like obviously extrapolated, from what the actual problems were. into one-liner straight to camera. So it would be he would do one, then I would do one, then he would do one, then I would do one, and that's how it came about. And then that got quite popular. So we did 3 episodes of that where it was just different problems you might run into in a small town. And then by the 4th episode, we kind of incorporated a story. That was where we first incorporated the produce stand, where it was like a city guy comes up to the produce stand, and he's looking for organic vegetables while he's smoking darts, like that kind of thing, whatever. And then the 5th one was when Andrew and Dylan got involved, and it was 2 hockey players, and so we decided that they were going to be dating Jared's sister, and he hated them because of that, and so they showed up. And we just ripped into them. And that's where the storyline came from. And that's how we could potentially turn it into a series. And that was it, where it was like, oh, well, we've got these hockey players. They like your sister. We hate them. Let's with them, and let's use our wordplay with them big time. And that's where it went. And so that's how the whole thing started. But it all started because we all knew each other playing on this beer league hockey team together. And then also, Jared and I had so much fun just around putting up videos on YouTube and stuff like that. So that's where it came from. And then instead of, because how normally it would be, okay, if you want a series, you shoot a pilot, right? And you can show a network as part of like a pitch package. Okay, so this is what we can do, and we can, turn this into a series and blah, 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 whatever. But these videos showed, first of all, metrics showed numbers about how many people watched them, and then showed basically a story arc about where it could go and all these different avenues as to where the show could go. And then they liked it. And then bada bing, bada boom, and then out of Jared's head came these episodes, seasons, and, years later. And then you were on this big show that people seem to like quite a bit.
Trying to close it out, I want to have, if you don't mind, having a fun game of random questions.
Done. I love random questions. Let's do it.
Okay, and then the first one you're going to be like, I did not sign up for that. That's not what I asked for.
No, that's when I go, I think I'm losing connection here, and I just close the laptop.
Yeah, and then that's when I like being not self-aware. I'll be like, oh, is he back? Is he back? It's like, Brian, it's 2 hours ago.
Can we get him back, please? I think we should get him back. Yeah.
PR. All right, like, how long did you go for? I'm just like 3 hours. Like 3 hours. What? I'd be like
3 hours, but it looks like you've got about 2 hours of darkness there. That's a little bit weird.
Oh, sorry, my camera wasn't on. What is a red flag for you?
What is a red flag?
Yeah, like something that like it just instantly, like, I know sometimes you'll see it on Instagram where they're like, hey, would you date someone with an Android? And girls go like, no, it has to be blue bubble. I'm like, that's your red flag? I'm like, I would probably be like, just don't call me an idiot. And, maybe we split the bill. Is that okay?
What would be a red? So are we talking about dating here? Like, what would be a red flag for dating?
Yeah.
A red flag for me for dating would be, oh man, that's kind of a difficult one. There can be so many.
We walked down this road with Brett Kissel, and I remember Brett Kissel saying about like the bill of when the bill comes, and he's like, and I agree with him to some extent. He's like, I believe the guy should always pay, regardless of how the date goes. And I'm just like, yeah, but here you go, Brett. I'm gonna lay some knowledge on you. It's like, what about if the date didn't go well? She's saying she pays half. So then that way, in your mind as a guy, you're like, well, if she's paying half, she's almost saying, I'm covering for this awful date. And then you're just like, okay, I know not to call, know not to text, leave you alone. But if you're like, if you let me pay, I kind of feel like, and again, someone will be out there now saying that is not what that means. But if you let me pay, it kind of leaves the door open where I'm like, all right, this person enjoyed the time. They're letting me treat them. So I can call or text and maybe set something up future. But if you instantly go for it, then it's almost like this did not go well.
Right. Okay. I'll tell you a red flag for dating. Here we go. So let me create a scenario here. You've eaten dinner. You're out of the restaurant, and you're going to let's say you're going to go continue the date, and you're going to a bar across the street for a drink. Okay. You're at a crosswalk, and the little man is no longer on there. It's flashing, don't walk. And it's flashing, and it's going, and it's like 5, 4, and you shouldn't go. And she, without asking or without saying anything, just goes on her own without saying, let's go across the street, without checking with you, and just goes and leaves you in the dust without saying, hey, we should do this, or hey, do you want to go with me, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the selfish act of going on your own across the street while the walk sign says don't walk. There, boom, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
That is a no good. Yeah.
That is like when you need, and I'm sure in futuristic it will come when like the don't walk sign comes and they see that because now everything has cameras on it. That is when the song, you can go your own way. And then you're just like, it's embarrassing enough. Now you added like a monologue to this or like a voice music. Come on. Like, yeah. What is your favorite childhood movie?
Ooh, what is my favorite childhood movie?
If you want to tag me in while you think, I can give you mine.
Let me hear yours because that'll maybe give me, because I have one in my head. I have one. So you go.
So I would again, I'm going to be like, goes with, oh, can I have two options? But
I almost said that.
Yeah. Because I like The Lion King. I can watch The Lion King. And I like, for the most part, the games came out on the PC. I was like really into it. I can probably know the lyrics too. I just want to be king. So there's that. But
I just can't wait to be king.
But I think over time. No. Oh, you freeballed it. You did so well. But I think over time, if someone was like, this is your childhood movie, you have to watch it over and over. Monsters Inc. I'd go with Monsters Inc.
Can I tell you this? Let me give you this before I give you my answer.
Sure.
Do you know what movie? And this is not a word of a lie. Do you know what movie I watched last night?
Monsters Universe. Oh, I was gonna say
Monsters Inc. No, Monsters Inc. I'm not kidding. I swear to God, Monsters Inc. last night. Sully and Boo is maybe the greatest relationship of all time on screen.
Yeah. Well, to kind of bring it full circle here and all that is I don't know like the voice actor or what the name is, and it's like she always makes fun of Mike. It's the secretary. It's like, Mike Wazowski, you're late for work.
Yeah.
I like that's like I like that impression, and I like the Family Guy one. But that one is like anytime someone starts to piss me off on this, they're like, all right, you pissed me off the other day. You can go home and leave. And then they're just like, what happened? I'm just like, you can go home with Mike and Sully.
Yeah, I like that. What a good movie, though. What a good movie.
It's sad, so though. There are sad parts to it, but go ahead.
It's it's incredibly sad. It's a great story. It's incredibly sad. It's heartwarming. It's funny. It's got a great relationship between Sully and Boo. It's got all, man. It's in. Yeah, I love it. And like no word of a lie, I watched that last night.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give you mine. My favorite childhood movie: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the live action version.
Okay. Pourquoi?
For a couple of different reasons. Number one,
I got my French tech, so now I can stream this in like Montreal. No.
We.
Yeah, there you go.
So
we're good.
I love that Jim Henson did all the costumes for it, right? Like they were actual costumes. They weren't CGI. They were actual people in the suits and doing that. I love that the Ninja Turtles were like skateboarding kind of punk rockers. I love the story of the Ninja Turtles. It's crawling around in the ooze. I love that it's set in New York. Elias Koteas as Casey Jones. April O'Neil is awesome. It's a great band together and have a great time and get Shredder and stuff. I just love it. And it's a movie that I watched over and over and over again when I was a kid. I love it so much. It's an awesome story. It's got skateboarding in it. They love pizza. They live in the sewer. As a kid, I basically wanted to live like in the Ninja Turtles lair downstairs, like down in the sewer, Your
mom was like, do you want to end up like the Ninja Turtles as if that was a bad thing? You're like, absolutely. And they're like, hold on, maybe I that one up for you. Do you not want to be like a Ninja Turtle?
Yeah. And I said, if I am lucky, I will end up like the Ninja Turtles, for God's sakes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then like as an actor, like when you didn't have a TV show or like whatever, you're like, I am actually a Ninja Turtle and this is not fun. I am literally in the gutter.
Yeah, when I found out being in the gutter actually really sucks.
Yeah,
yes. I was not a
Ninja Turtle. I did not like it. Yeah.
Well, but then I thought like, well, maybe Shredder's onto something. Organized crime seems to pay.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go with like a side one here as well. Like, but not so much a random question because we were talking about just the children's like I guess movies. But like, do you
Yeah.
ever go back and watch some children's movies and you're just kind of like, I don't know why I was like heavily interested or invested in this. Like, I love the Mighty Ducks movies.
Me
But
too.
like, but the concept when you look at it years later, you're like, the triple deke faked out goalie. I'm just still like, that's an ordinary move today, boys.
Dude, the triple deke stop, then have a go at it.
Yeah, and the goalie's like, oh, how did I that up? I'm like, try that in the NHL. The guy's like, yeah, nice try.
Yep,
Just
done.
like, but it worked. It worked in the Mighty Ducks. It's like, yeah, win in the 90s.
Yeah.
You have
I
Trigger
know,
Zevers
right?
going behind the net with do that in the Mighty Ducks, and I'll believe you.
But you know what's kind of great though is like having Disney Plus and stuff like that. You get to see all those movies again. Like you can see Mighty Ducks, you can see D2, you can see D3. Actually, you know what? And Dylan Playfair is in the new Mighty Ducks series. And it's just like I like it. I mean, man, I loved those movies. They were awesome. And Emilio Estevez was great as like the coach. They were great. They are a little bit
Timely. Yeah.
timely.
Yeah.
We'll call it timely. Still entertaining as.
Oh yeah. Well, I've never. So some people like criticize me because like I'll say like, oh, it was so great to grow up in the 90s and early 2000s, and then like I don't know. There's certain things that I don't know. Like I recently, say in the last maybe 10 years, got into Goo Goo Dolls, and I'll listen to like a 90s song, and they're like, how did you not listen to it when you're in the 90s? I'm like, because I was 6. I didn't know what the question was. Leave me alone. But I watched. I watched
even
like.
if sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, even if I did listen to the song, I didn't know what depression was then. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, I remember the other night I was watching, I think it was like the first Sister Act with my mom for the first time. And I was like, I want to know like all about Whoopi Goldberg. I was just like, because I admire her. She's good. She's great in like things she does. But there are scenes that I'm just, they're saying like, bruh, like, how'd you not get shot there? Like literally you have them cornered in this like, I don't know, bar or well-established area, and then all the nuns come out and be like, don't shoot. I'm like, no, that would be like the guy being like, bang, bang, bang. Like, what do you mean don't shoot?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or when they catch her and like the two bad guys is like, we can't kill her, she's a nun. It's like, and he's like, but she's a fake nun. He's like, well, we don't know if she. I'm just like, no, that's so dumb. Like, why do you care? You're murderers. Why do you care if she's a real nun or a fake nun?
Hold on a minute. You're murderers. I didn't think you cared if they were.
Yeah, like you're mafia. It's like, I know we 3 guys this week, but I promised to my mom I was never gonna a nun.
I swore on my mother's life and to her face I would never a nun.
Yeah. Anyone else? Billy down the street? That little boy that brings you the paper? I like him, but that's not for
all the little boy who brings you the paper, but a nun, that is off limits.
That's going to do it for this episode of Tobin Tonight. Our thanks to Nathan Dales for coming on to the show. Remember, you can find past, present, and future episodes on TobinTonight.com, Spotify, and iTunes. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and leave a comment or two. For Tobin and myself, this is Jacob saying thank you for listening and good night.